Alright, welcome guys. This will be the first ever video that I'll be working on entry-level package of the SLR Blaster. So let me just go through all the components first before I put it together. Now, this is the SLR receiver, sign color receiver, and it has standard grip. And then here, this is the gearbox package. Comes with the gearbox, aluminium barrel, aluminium barrel, a T-hop, a motor, and some accessory packs. The 4-piece outer barrel, the adapter itself, the SLR muzzle, so a stubby muzzle, the SLR M-lock rail cover, the headstocks, the 4 sets Picatinny rail that can convert your handguards M-lock into using the Picatinny's attachments. This is the M-Bus Pro. It's made of nylon. Okay, it's a bit tight. This is the SLR Ion 10-inch handguard. It's made of nylon also. The SLK buttstock and mini buttstock. The Kublai brand. Kublai. Metal buffer tube, and then the sling mount. Alright, so now I'm going to work on the gearbox itself first. I'm going to split it open, make sure everything inside works properly, and put it back together before I put it into the receiver. Alright, so I'm going to work on the gearbox itself first. Before that, I'm just going to put this together. The O-ring. This acts as a gel stopper, so whenever you remove the mag, the gel inside the T-hop will not force off. Right, and done. Okay, so let's set this aside. Now the gearbox itself. This is the standard SLR gearbox. Pretty solid gearbox, very nice nylon shell. Comes with a polished stainless steel cylinder already. It had 8mm bearings and a preload switch. So I'm going to open this up and check all the gears inside and make sure that all of them are meshing together so it doesn't go wee. So first we're going to take the mainspring out. So we got it out. Let's just set this aside. I believe the SLR gearbox comes with the 1.2 springs, but sometimes they do comes with a 1.25 spring. Not that consistent, but not a big problem. So we're going to open the gearbox. Okay, so here's how it looks like. Now, one thing I noticed, and I have to say the good part of this gearbox is things are quite well put together. Like, even after you split the other half of the gearbox shell, you know, things doesn't jump everywhere. Like, everything stays in one place, especially the anti-reversal latch. So, okay, I'm just going to go through the components part by part. So I'm going to take out the gear first. Okay. Now this is the bevel gear. This is made of nylon. And you can notice the gear itself where the anti-reversal latch on has 8 instead of 4. So in the semi-auto mode, it is very stable. And this is the anti-reversal latch itself, is nylon. And okay, let me just get this part off. Right, this is the sector gear. And this is the gear that pulls the piston. And the spur gear. We have nylon, pretty well made actually. No strange burrs or bad qualities control. So this is the cylinder unit. Oops. This is the return spring. This is the tappet. Same material as the gears, nylon. The nozzle. The piston is made of nylon as well. There's no metal teeth, everything is the non-metal nylon, whatever. This is the head, standard O-ring, and then the cylinder itself and the cylinder head. It's nothing too special, but yeah, they work. The steel is alright, I suppose. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. So out of box, you don't need to do much. You can actually just use them without replacing anything. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Oh yeah, the bearing is already the upgraded type, so you can use them. This is the, I don't know what it's called, but this is where it controls the semi-auto mode. It cuts off, I think it's called cuts off lever, yeah, cuts off lever. So this is where it cuts off the switch every time you pull the trigger in single fire mode. And on this side, same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune the gearbox a little bit just to make sure all the gears is running smoothly in the gearbox. So what I'm going to do is just I'm just going to put the gear back together. So I'm just going to put this part of the shell back and test whether the gears is going to spin freely or not. Alright, so this is the Fighting Bros shim sets that I usually use. So what I always do, I will always use one piece of the 0.1 mm 0.1 mm shims, one piece on the bevel gear, this side. Right, the reason is because this is where it transfers the motor energy to the entire system. So this part, if this part is not, pushing against and mesh with the gears on the pinion gear on the motor, it will actually damage the gear. So this is what I will always do, just to make sure there's no unwanted or unnecessary play between the bevel gear and the pinion gear. So I'm going to put this side of the shell back. So at this state, I would pick through the gears from where the cylinder sits, check the sector gear and use the finger to spin them. And if they spin freely, you don't feel any sort of a weird resistance, then they are good. And just to make sure, you use your pinky or screwdriver just to push the sector gear left and right and make sure there's no lateral tolerances or play. So in this case, it's good. I'm going to put in the anti-reversal latch. Right, now I'm going to attach the grip and then the motor. This part is going to be a bit tricky if you don't have a really long screwdriver. Right, because I'm going to test it without the mainspring, so I'm just going to tighten with 2 screws. Okay, right. Now I'm going to install the motor into the grip. And this is the standard motor that comes with the SLR on 7.4 volt or 2S. It's going to run like a diesel truck. You can start the engine in the winter time. So I recommend 11.1 volt. Now sometimes you will find the tab is too tight, you can't insert them. So you can use something small, like a small screwdriver, to just enlarge the pin a little bit. Now you will want to bend the tabs outwards so that the motor grip cap doesn't pinch on the cable. So you just pull outwards. No problem there. One feature, if you can call it the feature, is this little plate that they use to adjust. It's more like they use this as a spacer so that you can adjust the motor with this small screw here. This small plate is a bit troublesome because you have to put it here and then make sure it doesn't force off when you close the cap. So you can dab a little bit of a glue so that it will stay there. So I'm just going to close the cap. Okay. So now with the motor in, you can test the gearbox. So I'm just going to show you something really cool. When you do this tuning, it can be very accurate because you can actually do this. Say if I loosen it, like it sounds very rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the trigger continuously while I adjust the motor grip until the sound, the sound is the smoothest one. So alright, so let's go. So that sounds better. So what happened when you what happened when you over tighten this screw, or if you just leave it too loose? So you can actually hear the difference quite distinctively. Let's say I'm just going to loosen it all the way. So I'm going to pull the trigger while I adjust the motor height adjustment screw. I think the video can capture the sound difference. So let's go. So from there you can tell quite drastically, from my side at least, the noise level has gone down and the vibration has gone down as well. So this is what's going to happen if you over tighten the screw. So I'm just going to continue with pulling the triggers. It starts to like vibrate. So that's very bad. If you do that with the spring and all, there's a high chance of it you might actually seize up all the gears or break some of the teeth. So this is why I opt for this way of tuning, because it's this way you can't break anything in the process of tuning. So I'm just going to loosen it again and I'm going to put it to the optimal positions. So all the way loose, and then right, there we go. This is the optimal position for this particular gearbox and motor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply some thread lock so that the screw stay in place and will not be loosened because of the motors. This is the thread lock I use. You can buy this from pretty much any hardware store. Before it dries, I'm just going to do the same thing, just so that the motor height is correct. And now the motor is properly adjusted. So all I need to do now is just put everything back together and it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Okay, now some of you guys might start to wonder why I haven't done any lubrications with the gears. It's not that I forgot, it's just that you can hear the rough, how the gear winds the clearest before you actually apply any loops on them. So that's what I do. Usually I loop them after I tune the gears. So now is the time to loop the gears. This is what I use: silicone grease and a small applicator, a small toothbrush. done. So at the same time, you can apply some loops on the bearing itself. Yeah, this topic is about the angle of engagement, or AOE. Now, it refers to when the first teeth on the sector gear hits or in contact with the first big tooth of the piston. So this is where it starts the pulling motion. This is where it compresses the spring all the way back, and then once the last tooth of the sector gear cleared, and then immediately the spring will be pushing the piston forward, and that's and that's how the gel gets shoots. So what happens is that when the first teeth meets with the big teeth, the big teeth on the piston, it's not always in the perfect angle. I'm not sure if you can see this, but you can see that the first teeth is hitting on the corner of the piston teeth. So in the long run, one of it will break, either the big teeth on the piston or the first teeth of the sector gear. So there are a couple of ways to mitigate this. One is you get a sort of a washer and you put in front here, so that it changes the resting positions of the piston. So ideally, you would want the gear to hit at this angle. So every time the gear hits, it's in full contact, and it's one straight line, not hitting the corner. I don't have the washer now, so there is an easier way. Not really easier, but just a makeshift way. If you don't have the washer, is you just round off the corner on the piston teeth. I'm just going to show you how to do it. So this is the hard corner of the teeth on the piston. So you can use a small file just to round it off a little bit. Now you don't want to overdo this process, because if you overdo it, your teeth may miss these teeth entirely, and then you have a broken piston. So once the corner is rounded off, now you can put back. So now instead of the teeth hitting on the hard corner of the piston teeth, now it's rounded off, so it has more surface, it has more contact surface with the gears. So doing this will drastically improve the duration of the piston and also the sector gear, and it also will reduce the amount of noise it generates when you use it. So just check before you close, because sometimes this piston does get out of the way like this, and then when you close the shell, you just squish everything and something may be damaged. So before you close, just make sure it slides freely. Now if you guys remember, all I did was just putting a 0.1 mm shims on the bevel, and I didn't use any extra shims for the rest of the gears because it wasn't necessary. So what happened if you actually over shim the gearbox is that it will be very rough. So that's why shims are not always needed, but if you use some custom parts like the metal gears or something, SHS or whatever brand you use, is probably a very good idea to do what I just did just now, just to make sure that all the gears are working together well. If not, apply shims until they do work together well. So now, oh yeah, some more screws here. Now these screws is where it holds the safety together. You don't really want to over tighten this, because if you do, it will seize up this mechanism and you will have a stuck gearbox. This is the 5 selector plate. so it moves as you turn the selector. So this is the safety positions where it activates this lever here that stops the trigger from being pulled. So once that's released, so what happens if you over tighten this will stuck here, and you will have a stuck gearbox. Okay, so that's all done. I'm going to put the spring in. Before I put it into the receiver, usually I will do one last check. I'll do the same thing. So 7 volt. Let's see how it sounds like. Single fire, auto. Now because we have already adjusted the motor height earlier without the spring, so we don't need to worry about that right now. Just for testing sake, we use a 3S battery. So it's a lot more crisp, and the single fire is also very stable. Right, auto. Sounds good to me. There's no vibration on the grip area, no strange whining or just smooth. So that's all for the gearbox part. Now it's all tuned and ready for action. So I'm just going to install the receiver. Alright, so with the gearbox done, I'm going to install it into the lower receiver first. So before you install, always make sure the selector is pointed at the semi mode. So when you insert the gearbox, this plate will not be damaged. Right, so just going to test whether the trigger safety works. Okay, so once you've done that, it is strongly recommended that you insert this pin and this pin here first. And as for this pin, remember this is actually a one-way pin. On this side, there is some, I don't know what you call it, frictions or whatever. This is basically the cap or the head of the pin. So this is where it goes in, and this is where it comes out. So following the receiver, this is how you insert the pin, and you punch it out from here. So it comes out from this side. So just not confuse yourself and save you some heartache, I recommend to insert the pin from this direction as well. So with these two pins in, you can now install the grip. No problem. So it's almost done. I'm going to install the buffer tube first before I move on to the upper. Now, if you have a SLR gearbox and you have bought your own buffer tube, be very sure these screws are at the correct length, because otherwise, if it's the long type, when you install the buffer tube, you may actually just push in the spring stopper, and then that will destroy your gearbox. So be very careful. Alright, it's done. And again, I'm just going to test it. Alright, I'm going to get a magazine just to test whether the preload will work. So it should still work the same. This is the preload. Okay. So this is where the charging handle will hit the switch, and then it activates the preload switch. Right, so everything working. Right, that's done for the lower part and the working gearbox. So I'm just going to put this aside and work on the upper and the handguard. One thing I have to, this is one tips. So this is the dust cover. The SLR dust cover is not that well designed. So sometimes you pull, it doesn't come off. So what happens is because the switch on the dust cover, the small latch, is not being hit, or even if it did, it doesn't travel far enough to release it. So I will actually do one little small mod here. Get a small file, and then I will just grind this part off. There's a small latch here, it's a small dimple. You just need to file it off a bit. Again, not too much, or your dust cover will not be able to close. So now, there, you'll be able to release the dust cover reliably every time. Okay, this is small mods. Install the outer barrel. I think it's just nice to have 10-inch, I think. Yep. Barrel lock nut. To make sure the position is right, I will always use the assembled T-hop and the aluminium unit. So make sure the alignment is correct, so you can insert it. And when you lock the handguard, make sure to check the alignment of the rail frequently, because sometimes they can go off like this. So you want to make sure they are aligned. Okay, so that's almost done actually. So I'm just going to install the muzzle. Now sometimes you don't always get to align this to the position that you want. So usually I would insert a small piece of an O-ring in front of the muzzle. And also you can now adjust where you want the SLR logo to appear. So when you install the upper and lower together, you have a couple of things to be pay attention to. First, the cable. Try not to cut them off when you slide them in. So from the dust cover window, you can see the T-hop there, and then your nozzle. So carefully put them in together, like so. So once they are in, you will notice that you can't actually put in, because the preload switch up here is blocking the charging handle. So what you need to do is pull the charging handle a little bit, and then it should slide right in, and then holding that, and it should go in like so. So when you take off, you also have to pull the charging handle a little bit. Just pull a bit, and then you can pull the front receiver, the upper receiver forward, and then you can remove it. So before I forgot, this little bolt release, this deco, done. Alright, so with the upper and lower assembled, it's now to install the final pins, the one that locks the upper receiver to the lower. So it is now assembled. Let's just do a final check. Battery in. Works. Where's my magazine? Right, here's a magazine. Let's check whether the reload works. Right, and we are done. Right, so before I close up the muzzle again, just want to let you guys see this little pop-up device here. This is an adjustable type pop-up. Okay, I just threw Allen key here. Now this pop-up is really cool because it allows 14mm muzzle to be installed directly over it, so you can hide the the pop-up without it jutting out like the older type. So with this hop installed, I can actually just slide the muzzle over and tighten it. Done. So now we have a very slick looking blaster with hop-up installed without actually showing it. So let me just install the buttstock. To install the buttstock can be a bit tricky because the buttstock has a latch, has a notch here that stops the buttstock from going out and in completely without pushing the pin far enough. So you have to use a small Allen key. Done. Okay, and then some of the M-lock accessories, the M-lock covers and the hand stop. Now I'm not going to install the Picatinny rails because I have no purpose for them right now, but if you need to, for example, if you say you want to use a torchlight or flashlight, and you can install one of these and then you can mount whatever Picatinny attachment that you wish to. And it comes with 4 lengths, long to the short, so whichever one that suits your purpose. So now I'm just going to install the M-lock covers. Right, so that's the M-lock cover and the hand stop done. This seems very small and useless, but I think they look really cool. That's it, tactical. The nylon M-Bus Pro. And we are done. It works. Fires no problem. Alright, that's it for the assembly of the blaster. So we are just going to do a little chrono test on the blaster just to check the feet per second of this is up to the spec. So we have done building the blaster. Now we just want to put on to the chrono just to test the FPS of it. So let's go. $250, $245, 40. Let's try 42. So it averaged out at about 250 FPS. That's pretty good, decent performance out of the box. So that's it for the Kony. Alright. Thanks for watching. That's been the video or tutorial of assembling of an SLR Blaster. The technique I use to tune the gearbox is pretty much the same on how you would tune the other gearbox that you have, or if you wish to upgrade your gearbox with the aftermarket parts, the correct way of tuning the gearbox is the same. So just do what I did and you should be fine with the gearbox that you just bought or you are about to mod. So thanks again for watching. And before I end the video, I would just like to do a little bit of advertisement on the SLR Blaster. So as you can see on this table, there are 4 different colors. The tan color that I just built, the grey color, the transparent color, and lastly the black color. So you could pretty much build the blaster that you would like to. You can mix them. You can have the sand upper and black lower, or vice versa, however you would like to mix and match them. So this blaster is highly customizable. Plenty of parts you can throw in there to make it look super tactical, like this one. This has a Trigicon MRO red dot on it, T1 with the 40s, whatever. So that's been too long-winded. So I think it's about time that I end the video. So thank you again for watching the video. Hit the subscribe button if you like the video. See you again.